LD is go for launch.
Falcon 9 is configured for flight.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion terminal.
Vehicle is supersonic.
We're just over 1 minute into flight. Falcon 9 is passing through the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
Vehicle is experiencing max Q.
You've heard the call out. We're now experiencing maximum dynamic pressure, where the velocity of the first stage and the density of the Earth's atmosphere combine to create the greatest loads on the rocket. We're through that period. Merlin engines have throttled back up to full power. Propulsion indicates nominal. Power and telemetry also reported nominal. Next major activity, just a little under a minute from now, we'll have the main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation and ignition of the second stage engine. T+2 minutes into flight. We've got about another half a minute left in the first stage burn. Trajectory looks good. We're going right down the middle of the track. We've got a great view from the ground looking up at the Merlin engine plume on the Falcon 9. Main engine cutoff of the 9 Merlin engines in about 10 seconds.
Eco.
Stage separation.
Recognition.
Coming up on 3 minutes into flight, you hear the applause here from SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. We've had a good first stage shutdown, a stage separation, and a good ignition of the upper stage engine. Right after ignition, you may have seen a couple of pieces of metal coming off the nozzle. That's normal. Those are stiffeners that go around the bottom of the nozzle for use in transporting on the ground. They fall off as we go into flight. Next event coming up in about 10 seconds, we're going to wait and watch for fairing separation.
Second stage is following nominal trajectory.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Again, the applause. You saw a good payload fairing separation. The fairing separating into the two halves and falling away. We're coming up on 4 minutes into flight. GNC reports trajectory is good.
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda indicates that the Falcon 9 telemetry is also being acquired by our ground tracking station in Bermuda. Upper stage engine power continues to be constant. Thrust to the Merlin Vacuum D engine is good. We're coming up on T plus 5 minutes into flight. Looking at the trajectory map, Falcon 9 continues to go right along the planned path, heading east from Cape Canaveral into the first of 2 orbits planned for this evening. Now currently, we're planning to burn that upper stage engine for just about another 3.5 minutes. We may also hear callouts in a little more than a minute of entry burn. The first stage, as I mentioned, will go through the pre-programmed re-entry and landing sequence, but there's no drone ship stationed out in the stormy Atlantic to be able to catch the first stage. Coming up on 6 minutes into flight, we've got another just over 2.5 minutes to go on the second stage engine. Very quiet on the net. Falcon 9 second stage with the Hispasat satellite attached, performing nominally as we head downrange from Cape Canaveral. Currently, second stage will be accelerating up to about 4 Gs. As a reminder, the Hispasat 30W-6 satellite, as Elon has tweeted out, is massing over 6 metric tons. That's over 6,000 kilograms, and that is the largest geostationary satellite we've ever flown.
ATS saved.
Given the size, as you
Stage 1 entry burn is started.
You heard entry burn start in the background here. As I mentioned, going through the pre-programmed sequence.
Nominal trajectory.
Stage 1 entry burn is shut down.
And we have shutdown of stage 1 on the entry burn. That'll leave its landing burn coming up in about 1.5 minutes. Second stage continuing to run. Everything looking good on stage 2. Seven and a half minutes into flight. The glowing nozzle on the upper stage engine, that's expected. Shows the engine's running just like we want it to be. We've got cameras on the back of the second stage giving us these live views. We're about 1 minute away from SECO, second stage engine cutoff number 1. That will leave us in a parking orbit. Once we get engine shut down, we'll wait for the guidance engineer to confirm that we have a good orbit.
Vehicle is in terminal guidance.
We heard a call out vehicle in terminal guidance. We're getting ready to go into orbit. Coming up on 4 Gs acceleration.
Thank you. ATS saved.
Flight termination system on stage 2 is safed.
SECO.
We've got shutdown of the second stage engine. The completion of the first burn on time. Waiting to hear a call out.
Good orbital insertion.
And there it is. We've heard good orbital insertion of the second stage, still carrying the Hispasat 30W-6 satellite. Welcome back to the live commentary of Falcon 9 flight with Hispasat 30W-6. We're just past T plus 26 minutes. The upper stage engine is chilled in, and we're about to have the second of 2 planned burns of the upper stage engine. This one will transfer the Hispasat satellite into the geostationary transfer orbit. We're getting contact through our Gabon tracking station in Africa, and now we're waiting for ignition of the upper stage engine.
MVAC ignition.
And we've heard confirmation, MVAC ignition. This burn will last just about 50 seconds. Now this short second burn of the upper stage, while it's short, will increase the velocity by about 25%. At the same time, will slightly lower the inclination of the orbit closer to the equator. We're now throttling down to keep G loads below 5 Gs on the satellite. Burn continues to go well. We're coming up on shutdown.
TECO.
We've had SECO 2, second stage engine cutoff. Now we're waiting to hear guidance confirm the orbit accuracy.
Good payload insertion.
And in the background over the speaker, you might have heard we have a good insertion orbit for the Hispasat 30W-6 satellite. So that completes another major event in today's flight. The second stage is now coasting again. There's a view of the Hispasat satellite with the sunlit portion of the Earth in the background. Now we've got several minutes before the actual deployment of the satellite, so we're going to suspend live commentary again. We'll be back in 3.5 minutes at T plus 32 minutes to witness the Hispasat satellite release. We're at T plus 32 minutes and 5 seconds. Falcon 9 second stage and satellite are in the desired geostationary transfer orbit. We've actually got a very accurate orbit that we achieved. Next up, we're going to see satellite deployment. In this mode, the flight computer will send redundant commands to open the separation system that holds the satellite to the second stage. Small compressed springs will then push the satellite away from the second stage, and that'll complete deployment. We're expecting that deployment coming up in about 15 seconds. Camera showing alternating views between the nozzle of the second stage engine, the Hispasat 30W-6 satellite on top of the second stage payload adapter.
Spacecraft separation confirmed.
And the cheering from the late night team here in Hawthorne. We have telemetry and video confirmation of the Hispasat 30W-6 satellite successfully separated from the Falcon 9. It's been a great mission for Falcon 9, our 50th Falcon 9 flight. Countdown was on time. We launched right at the opening of the window. First stage flight was normal. Second stage went through 2 burns. Both of them gave us good orbit insertion. And then finally, as you just saw, satellite deployment right on time. Nice view from the camera on top of the second stage. So that's going to end our webcast for this evening. We'd like to thank our customer, Hispasat, for their confidence in SpaceX, the Eastern Range for their support, the Federal Aviation Administration, our commercial licensing agency, and of course you, the viewer, for clicking on the link to follow us. Now, if moving humanity out into the solar system appeals to you, please check spacex.com/careers for openings at our factory and launch and test sites. Look for updates on our next mission on social platforms and our website. And with that, I wish you a good night from SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California, United States of America, planet Earth.